This story is a heartwarming yet challenging journey of how my niece and I, who aren't related by blood, became a true family. I am Mariel, a 35-year-old housewife. I started dating my college classmate Scott once we started our careers, and we finally got married just before I turned 30. We have a son, Roy, who's just turned 2. His vocabulary is still developing, but his boundless curiosity had him walking even before crawling. Every day, he's energetically playing at parks and children's centers. Given that I'm now reaching the age where pregnancies are termed high risk, my husband and I have been discussing the possibility of a second child. Scott is the middle of 3 siblings, with an older and a younger sibling each 3 years apart. Both of them have their own families. My brother-in-law and his wife have been seeking medical assistance for about a year now to have a child. My sister-in-law is older than her husband. Being career-driven and always dressing impeccably, she looks much younger than she is. She used to believe that her youthful physique would allow her to conceive naturally in due course. However, she's turning 40 this year, and sensing her biological clock ticking, finally sought fertility treatments. Several of my friends, who are my age, are also struggling with similar treatments. Considering this, I couldn't help but worry about my brother-in-law and his wife, who had a late start. Yet, with savings from both their incomes and my sister-in-law's dedication to a healthy lifestyle with organic food and yoga, I was hopeful they'd eventually find success. All we could do for them was offer our support and encouragement. On the other hand, my younger sister-in-law and her husband have a 5-year-old daughter named Ela. Raised by a father who'd play wholeheartedly with her, and a kind but firm mother, my niece Ela has grown into a cheerful and adorable little girl. "When I grow up, I'm gonna marry Daddy," said Ela. "Oh boy, it's like the dream of daddies all over the world." So my SIL's husband was absolutely smitten. Moreover, she was very fond of Roy, my son. Whenever we visited their family, Roy would excitedly call out Ela, Ela, and stick close to her. My younger sister-in-law and her husband were like the picture-perfect family. But tragedy has its way of striking when least expected. One day, out of the blue, my SIL and her husband were gone forever. They were innocent, just victims of a one-sided accident. My Mill weeping and clinging to the casket, alongside the parents of my SIL's husband. Seeing my husband in shock, hand in hand with Ela, made my heart ache. Though I was shedding tears myself, I couldn't fathom the depth of sorrow the blood-related family members were experiencing. Ela, staring at the 2 memorial portraits, tears silently rolling down her cheeks, was the most pitiable sight of all. How could such a young soul bear this immense pain? Thinking of Ila's future, I realized crying wouldn't help. Someone had to step up and care for her. Only my Mill was at the family home, and she's been in and out of the hospital due to an illness. Ila's paternal grandparents were both physically frail. Ila's uncle, the older brother of her father, was single. With a young son of our own, we couldn't possibly give Ela the attention she needed in this tough time. I guess they made that decision considering all those circumstances. After the 7th-day memorial service, my Mill, in our presence, bowed deeply to my brother-in-law and his wife, begging them with reverence, "Please, take in Ela." While my brother-in-law seemed receptive to the idea, his wife, overwhelmed by emotion, exclaimed, "What do you mean? You want us to adopt her? Are you asking me to give up on having our own child?" Mother-in-law flinched at such a fierce appearance of her for the first time. "That's not what I meant, but you're 40 now, and I can't keep funding the fertility treatments forever. Ila's a wonderful child. You promised to support us, Mill. Are you breaking that promise?" The way she screamed and her anger-filled eyes were so far from the calm, elegant woman I knew. To be honest, I was shocked to learn that they were receiving financial help from my Mill for fertility treatments, even though they both work, needing support from the Mill. Where are they spending all their money? It's not what you think. My Mill desperately tried to calm the increasingly agitated woman. But once a volcano erupts, there's no stopping it, and then she erupted further. "I don't want someone else's child, and a child from a couple without any significant education or jobs. Predictable. I want a child with my bloodline, someone exceptional." The room went silent. "Hey, stop it." My brother-in-law hurriedly grabbed her arm, trying to stop her tirade, but she defiantly glared at my mill. Was she always like this? That's way out of line. I was filled with rage at her words and actions. Ila, gazing at a framed picture, continued to sit quietly. Even though her back was turned and I couldn't see her face, I knew she must understand she's being treated as an outsider and hearing bad things about her kind parents. I don't want to burden this little one anymore. Leaving her with a heartless woman like that is unthinkable. There's only one way to protect Ila. I've made up my mind. We'll take Elaine. Mariel. My mill looked at me in shock. My husband looked concerned about my decision. I agree, but you're the one who will have it toughest. I know. But I won't give up. No matter what. I looked into my husband's eyes with determination. Thank you. Thank you so much. My mill was so grateful she seemed like she might bow down to the ground to me. Humph, you should have said that from the start. Now I look like the bad guy. Let's go. My sister-in-law gave us a brief glance and headed towards the exit. My brother-in-law apologized to us and followed her. I sat next to Ila and gently said, "Come live with us, with your aunt and uncle." Is Ila in the way? No, not at all. We want you to come, Ila. Seeing such a little girl so aware of her situation, my heart ached. Just then, my son Roy, who had been playing with toy cars in the corner, toddled over. Ila. Roy took Ila's hand, wanting to play. Roy, from today, Ila will be your big sister. Ila, big sis. Yes, your big sister. Roy tilted his head, pondering the meaning of big sister. Then, it seemed he realized that a big sister is something very special. Big sis, big sis. Roy embraced Ila, showing his joy with his whole body. Roy. Ila, a bit taken aback by the sudden embrace, hesitantly looked up at my husband and me. Take good care of us, Ila big sis. I said with a smile, causing her face to crinkle in response. She then hugged Roy tightly, her little shoulders shaking as she sobbed. Holding back my own tears, I silently vowed to protect her until she grows up. From that day on, Ila became part of our family. She was such a good girl. She'd get herself ready, behaved well at preschool, and even helped around the house. But her smiles were rare, and it was painful to see her gritting her teeth, trying so hard to find her place. From the stress and grief of losing her parents, there were nights when she'd suddenly cry out, or even wet the bed. I often wondered, looking at her cry in the dark, if I could truly heal her broken heart. During these moments, our son, Roy, always managed to lift our spirits. He'd follow Ila around, saying, "Big sis, let's play." Expressing his deep affection, Roy, always seeking Ila's kindness, seemed to give her a sense of belonging. At first, she would merely play along, but gradually they began to quarrel over toys, and she'd scold him when he misbehaved, just like any other siblings. In turn, she began to open up to my husband and me. It wasn't anything demanding, just little requests like, "I'd like to have curry for dinner," but I was happy with Ila's simple request. My husband was always eager to look after Ila, and my mill did everything she could to support us. 2 years had passed since Ila joined our family, and I decided to resume our efforts to have another child. I was torn about the decision. I was worried that it might upset Ila. But if I chose not to have a baby because of Ila, it might become a burden on her conscience. Every path has its own set of challenges and regrets, so my husband and I decided we wanted to choose the path with the fewest regrets. When I was safely into my second trimester, I whispered to Ila about our little secret. "You're going to have another little brother. Take good care of us, Ila big sis." She looked surprised at my words, then leaned into my belly with a delighted expression. Looking at her, my heart swelled with love, and we began discussing names for the baby. On an ordinary day, my brother's wife suddenly showed up at our house. It felt as though the devil had arrived. She glanced at my belly, her face twisting in distaste. "Ugh, you're really pregnant." She probably heard about my pregnancy from my mill. Had she come just to verify, taking care of a child that's not even blood related, and now you're having another one? You're so thoughtless. I pity the child who's raised by you. I was taken aback by her sudden antagonistic tone. What does she know about our family, especially after 2 years without contact? It's okay. My husband and I discussed it thoroughly, I replied. Oh, come on. It's going to be harder than you think, raising 3 kids and also taking care of one that's not even related to you. And what's your point? Should I give up on this baby? That's not what I mean. I'll take the baby, she retorted. What? I couldn't comprehend what she was saying. Just moments ago, she had belittled my unborn child. My mother-in-law says that she can't pay for infertility treatment anymore. So, I'll do you a favor and take the child. I mean, clearly you lack planning. What on earth? What is this person talking about? The words I finally managed to utter were trembling with anger. There's no way I'd hand him over. He's my precious son. Don't talk about him like he's some unwanted dish. Oh, dear. Another boy. You're not very good at this, are you? Boys are so rough, girls are much better. What? Oh well, if that's the case, what was her name? Ela. Give her to me. What? Criticizing having a boy is one thing, but to have refused her 2 years ago, and to have even disparaged her parents, and now wanting to take in Ela. What nerve! I won't hand her over. I will never hand over a child who has been desperately living in a world filled with sorrow from losing her parents. Ela is under my care. I'll take full responsibility and raise her till the end. I firmly denied her unreasonable demands. Oh, playing mommy after just raising her for 2 years. Her real mom would be heartbroken. Do you think I'd hand over a child to someone who disregards the pain she's been through for the past 2 years and treats kids like objects? Come on, you have 3 already. Don't be greedy, just give me 1. Over my dead body. She must have thought I'd hand over the kids easily, as she stomped her feet in frustration. At that moment, the doorbell rang. I also heard a man's voice from the other side of the door. It's my brother-in-law. Hey, you're here, aren't you? Yay. The previously flustered woman, looking pale, swiftly opened the front door and ran away. My brother-in-law, barely avoiding her body slam, said, "Sorry, I'll explain later," and chased after her. Left behind, I collapsed onto the spot, the tension drained from me. From the living room, Ela and my son, Roy, cautiously approached me. Ela, Roy. Mom, Isla's not going anywhere, right? She'll always be Roy's big sister, won't she? Roy looked up at me with anxious eyes. Of course, she is. Because Ela is my family. As I gently stroked their heads, Ela softly spoke, "Can I stay here?" The same words she'd said 2 years ago. Back then, to be honest, a big part of me had taken her in out of sympathy. But now, seeing her give her all to live, she felt just like my own daughter. "Yes, I'd love for you to always be here," I told her, pouring all my feelings into my words. Ela, her face on the verge of tears, responded with the brightest smile. "Yay." Ela and Roy hugged me, and I hugged them back tightly. Feeling their warmth, I sensed the baby inside my belly moving joyfully. A few days after the unexpected visit from my brother-in-law's wife, my brother-in-law and mother-in-law came over to apologize for her behavior and shared some shocking news. Turns out, she'd apparently been having an affair. Seems like she was frustrated with the unsuccessful fertility treatments and thought that if she switched partners, perhaps she'd have a better chance of getting pregnant. So, for over a year, she'd been trying to conceive with a married colleague at work who already had kids. Her reason for choosing this man, not only because she found him attractive, but because he had a proven track record of having children. However, her scheme didn't pan out, and her infidelity was discovered by my brother-in-law. He apparently confronted her about it and even demanded alimony. In her desperation, she seemed to believe that if she just had a child, everyone would forgive her. It's mind-boggling and infuriating, but it appears that in her panic state, she wasn't thinking straight. Still, she sure acted high and mighty. That's when she fled from that discussion and targeted our child, Ela, attempting to snatch her from our home. I was absolutely dumbfounded by her sheer stupidity. I thought she was a more thoughtful person. How naive of me. I'm so relieved we didn't hand over Ela to someone like that. Unsurprisingly, my brother-in-law and his wife got divorced. She was sued for alimony by both my brother-in-law and the wife of the man she had an affair with. Her indiscretions were frowned upon at her workplace, and she apparently lost her standing there. She's already in her mid-40s. She's destined for a pitiful life, trying to pay off the alimony on her own. On the other hand, my husband and I, inspired by these events, decided to adopt Ila. We were torn about taking our niece from the memory of her late parents, but we wanted to have more ways to protect her. Above all, I wanted to become Ila's second mother. Eventually, Ila began to call her late mother Mama and me Mom. Slowly but surely, we became a real family. Fast forward 13 years later. Today is Ila's coming-of-age ceremony, similar to high school graduation. On that once-in-a-lifetime special day, my daughter told me she wanted to wear the red formal gown I own. I suggested she could just rent a modern gown without hesitation, but she insisted, "I want to wear your gown, Mom." So she stylishly accessorized my dress with contemporary belts and trinkets. On our way to the ceremony venue, a stranger out for a walk approached us. "Is it your graduation? You look so beautiful. You look just like your mom." We exchanged glances and shared a small laugh. How many times have we heard that? Since Ila started high school, people began saying she looked just like me. It's funny, considering we don't share any blood. Before I could finish, Ila interrupted. "It's natural that I'd start to look like you. After all, you've praised me, scolded me, fed me, and hugged me all these years. My body is made of all the love you and Dad gave me." Ila. When I lost my real parents, it hurt so much. I even wished they'd taken me with them. But now, I'm glad to be alive and to have grown up. I'm truly thankful from the bottom of my heart for you making me part of this family. Thank you for becoming my mom. Tears welled up in my eyes as I looked at my beautiful daughter. Those are my lines. "Oh, come on, don't cry, Mom." But seriously, right here in the middle of the street, I spent since 5 in the morning getting my makeup done. My teary-eyed daughter chuckled and handed me a handkerchief. The past 15 years weren't just about good times. We had our disagreements, clashed heads, and had plenty of worrying days. But that's all part of being family. Soon, Ila will graduate from college and start her career. It feels like my role as a mom is nearing its end. Yet instead of relief, there's a certain sadness. That's just how wonderful these years with Ila have been. Mom, please take care of me from now on too. Of course, you'll always be my precious daughter. Even when she grows up and leaves the nest, whether we're blood related or not, we'll always be family.